Alright, and we are now live. Hello everyone, and welcome to today's live stream where I'll be going over more particle system stuff and making some new nodes for the particle system, which is up for free on Gumroad right now. Not particularly this Blender file, though it does use the same tech. But yeah, with this project, I was just seeing how I could make fireworks or something like fireworks using my particle system. And turns out it works out pretty well and pretty performant, which I'm very happy about. Quite often when working on the particle system and such, like so many of my effects are limited by is it fast enough? Which in this case, it's alright. It's alright. Like with this, okay, let me go over how this effect works first of all. Or maybe I'll wait a little bit until more people join the stream. But yeah, it works out pretty well. So there are two objects here. One that's just the main source of the firework, as we can see here, and we can see that when they die, the new ones will spawn in. So that's the main one, and then let's focus on just the fireworks part. So the real star of the show is the second one, which I will go over. But with the first one, let's just take a look at that real quick. Yes, this is the source. So with this, we just have, you know, the particle system running with a random sphere vector, which is just this. It could be better, but that's what's inside that node, just so that we get a random spherical vector. I added in, oh wait. Oh, this is the wrong one. This is the firework part. Let's go to the original source. So this is the source. Just every 7 frames, 1 point gets added with a random velocity. Sorry if there's background noise. There is a loud car outside. But we have this. I don't know why the index is plugged into there. That does not seem to be correct. I'm kind of going over this as well. I was asked recently why I haven't released this file as a product or something along those lines. And it's because I'm still testing it. It still needs some fixing before it can be released. So here I have, you know, the new particles, I have this as the lifetime, then I have this as the velocity, and that's just for the source particles. And then I store a random value so that it can be inherited by the children. And then after that, I need to have the trail, which is just, here, let me hide this once again. Sorry if I'm a bit disorganized at the moment, it's been a while since I've streamed. Here we have the trails. But we also need to preserve the particle, which is just this. Now, I do need to set the particle radius to 0, so that won't show up in cycles. Unfortunately, Eevee doesn't show point clouds, but here you can see the particle. So they'll just need to be scaled down to 0 when they're output. Okay, so there's that. Let's go back to here. Oh no, so I accidentally just clicked on Eevee instead of Eevee Legacy. Now, that's bad because Eevee is the Eevee Next, in quotes, is extremely unstable. And yep, we are lagging out. If this crashes, well, I'll just have to restart. Yep, oh, it crashed. Blender 4.1, never change. It is funny, though, that, Eevee Next got delayed by 2 years and it's still very buggy and noisy. Very unfortunate situation. Okay, let's go back to here to the geometry node thing. Just don't switch the rendering engines and we should be okay. So let's go hide the source and just look at the firework. So this is where the magic happens. So here, I have the child particle node, which will spawn particles from another particle system, assuming that it has, you know, the points in it. Here, I selected the source objects, didn't put that in there. You could put in other objects if you want. And then I set a random lifetime, 100 child particles. And then they spawn on when they delete, not on hits. That's just, you know, on hit is when they hit a collider. And then for the velocity, which offsets the initial velocity, which is inherited by the parent, a random sphere velocity just because it looks better than just a square random velocity. And then I add in some noise, even though this isn't really necessary, I just kept it in. So we can compare it with just regular random sphere velocities. They're pretty uniform, and I wanted them to be a little bit less uniform. So this is what I did. It's all right. It's not strictly necessary, but we can see that we're getting a lot more varied explosion shapes. Okay, and then after that, we feed that into the child particle input right there. And then the actual simulation is fairly straightforward. I just, the one quirk with this is the drag goes down by the age. That's just so that when the fireworks spawn in, they slow down quite a bit after the explosion, but then after that they speed up as if, I don't know, you're only seeing the heavier parts of the firework fall, if that makes sense. Let's see. How do you change from Eevee to Eevee Legacy? That's only in Blender 4.1, I believe, because Eevee Next is extremely unstable at the moment, and has been for like the past month. But yeah, we just have some noise affecting the velocity, and that's pretty good. And by the way, inside this node, it's very simple. It's just there for convenience. There we go. But yeah, and then we output we don't really need the particle unless I want to spawn in particles on this system, which in this case I don't really need to, but it's okay. Let's read the chat real quick. Is that smoke from GeoNodes? Ah! Well, if you think it's smoke, then mission accomplished, because this is not really smoke. It's a particle trail. As we can see here, it's literally just ribbons that are facing the camera. So when this moves around, it's perfectly fine. It'll look 3D, even though it isn't at all. Because you need to think of it like you're implementing this into a game engine. And it's like, well, do we have the budget to make a 3D smoke simulation? It's like, no we don't, if we want this to be real time. So what do? You go and make it a ribbon trail system. Just like, again, I'm basing this off of mainly Unreal Engine's Niagara system a little bit. I'm taking quite a few liberties, but it seems to be working out pretty well so far. Alright, now that I've gone over this, we can do a few cool things. One thing that I did a while back was I put a little collider here. Let me put this into the collider mesh. So, and let's set the viewport display to bounds. So here we should see that now the fireworks are being contained by, let's see, the sphere, which can look pretty cool. Now there is some glitching particles there because my raycast collision solver is only one step, which is a little unfortunate. Let's see, let's go and constrain it even more. So that's pretty cool. It's interesting that's lagging a bit when that's happening. Interesting. Alright, but that's that. So now I guess I can move on to the other project I've been working on, which this one's going to be a little bit messy, but anyway, let's go and switch over to that. And by the way, here's the new Be Right Back screen. I just made it one evening because I was like, you know what? I made a cool little shader effect and I was like, let's go and try that out. Just seeing if I can make something cool. And I'm using the Plexus effect, which is also out on Gumroad, I think. Either that or Blender Market, one of those two. Okay, so now that we're here, you may have seen this before, but it is the kind of lightsaber trail effect. So this one, I was thinking, you know what, is it possible to do that in Blender at the moment with the system that I have? And the answer is yes, with a little caveat. So at the moment, is the music a bit too loud? No, it should be fine. But yeah, right here, the sparks, so let's see, how do I break this down very easily? So right here we have a particle that does a raycast to the collider objects. So here I'm using the hit distance method because if it doesn't hit, it'll default to be 1.5 meters away from the center instead of the hit position, but it kind of does the same thing. It's just looking out and putting this particle wherever it hits. And then I mark that particle with an isHit value, which means that my particle system can recognize it as, oh, we should spawn the child particles there. As we can see here, I have onDelete and onHit enabled, which isn't, I didn't need onDelete enabled, but it's fine either way. But yeah, that part works. For the trail, I'm not super stoked about it because as we can see, there's clipping. I could fix this by, like, I can't fix this by default using the node that I made, because I would have to reference the collision normal of, which it is stored. The collision normal is technically stored by the system, but I would need to orient the trail, like here. Currently, this is a crisscross that's not facing the camera, but I would need to make this one, not a crisscross, but one line that is oriented according to the normal of the object, so that it'll look more like a decal rather than a 3D object, which is a little iffy, and this is just experimental. I'm not sure if I'm going to implement it, unless I was going to make this a proper product. Alright, which, hey, people might want. Not too sure. And then with that, the spark simulation, which for this... Oh wait, no, this is just the spark simulation. So a little quirk, which is what this part is doing, is that when the sword is going around, the lightsaber, you want particles to spawn everywhere where the particle was in its past and the present. So how do you interpolate between one position and another? In this case, I'm going to just do this to show you what it looks like without that. So when it moves a lot, we should see... Oh, it's actually a little harder to see like this. Maybe it's not entirely necessary. I need to think about that. Let's see... The velocity... Well, right now, I think it's kind of being hidden by the particle's velocity, like it's falling along. But if this moved extremely quickly, you would see, oh, particles spawned here on this frame and over there on another frame. So here, it's like, oh, they spawned right there. And then here, oh, yep, now we can see it. They're only spawning where the thing actually is. But since we're in a locked frame rate, that doesn't look good. So we need to interpolate that, and I just take the particle's velocity and make it so that it'll spawn in everywhere, which looks pretty good. Actually, wait a minute. I think I might have put this in the wrong direction. I might have to put that to negative. Yep, that's what was needed. Okay, so I had that completely in the wrong direction. That is why we bug fix all of this live. And by the way, the particle doesn't have a velocity by default. So what, actually, wait a second. I need to check some things really quickly. Sim sparks. Oh, I forgot to separate the components. Bug fix this all live. So I just want to separate the point cloud and it should be good. Yeah, just so that I don't have to store the velocity for other parts that I don't need. But this is the setup for getting the velocity of a certain thing. We just have a simulation zone to delay the geometry. Like, this feels very hacky, but it works. And it's the best method that I found to do it very quickly. Again, ignoring the material bug and such, because we are just sampling the old position and then taking the current position, subtracting the two, and boom, you have your velocity. There we go. So now that we have that, I just set the ID to be the index because that's what the trail uses. As we can see, that's just the trail right there. Works well. So both of those, as we can see, the biggest part of the node setup is fixing that little interpolation quirk. But it works, and it works well. It works, okay, well enough. The trail needs work. But, actually, wait a minute. Let's check the isHit value. Because it should be stored, let's see, isHit. or no, hit normal. Yes. So that is stored in the particle, or is it? No, it's not. I did not store... Okay, so in the sword collider, which is just a point that's raycast, I did not store the hit normal. Okay. So I would have to store that in order to make the trail correct. So, vector hits normal. Let's go and plug that into there. I should probably make it so that that'll only update when the... Actually, no, that's completely fine. Completely fine. Alright. Sorry if I sound a bit stuffy at the moment. I'm feeling just a tad under the weather. I don't think it's COVID, though. COVID's been going around recently, and fortunately, I have avoided it so far. But yeah, now that we have that, I could take the curve part of the trail, set the normal to be free. This is only available in 4.1. A long overdue feature, but it's better late than never. But if I do this, and I probably need to cross-product it with the velocity, but I'm not entirely sure. And then if we curve to mesh, like again, it would be better if I just implemented this into the node, but it's a very specific use case. So I don't feel good adding it just yet. 0.5, oops, let's bring it back. Negative 0. Okay. Interesting. Oh no, I think I know what's going on. So, there's just this tiny little problem with, the setup here. It's that the collider is being done in local space. So, the problem with local space to that object is that when it gets transferred to another thing, the data doesn't auto-rotate, which is a problem. I was hoping to avoid this at all costs. But, okay. Man, the very, very fun quirks of geonodes. There is something that I can do. There is the self-transform node that I did make. Oh wait, self-transform. Where I can turn this into a global space type of effect. But honestly, I really, really don't want to. Or I could just transform the hit normal by the object's rotation, which might work. Hacky as all hell, but... No, let's just do that. You know, it's hacky, but I'm gonna do it. So, rotate vector, and I'm going to rotate it by the object's self-transform, so object info, self-object, and then we invert the rotation. Now this should give us the right results without having to change the entire thing. Let's see if it works. Okay, nope, it still doesn't work. Let's try that one and see if it... Yep, oh, there we go. Seems to work pretty well to me. The only downside is that the particles are, like, almost exactly where the hit is. So it's, you know, some clipping issues can still occur, unfortunately. But yeah, that is a much more annoying, but it's annoying that I can't do it for the whole thing, but for convenience, it's alright. Okay. Undo self-transform. There we go. So that kind of works. Again, oh, and I there we go. I spelled undo. So that's a little annoying, but it does work. And again, I should have the option for a custom normal input to this. Which, you know, Do I implement that now? Because right here we can see, oh, that curve normal, we can have that, but I can have another switch node right after it to override with a custom curve normal, which would help significantly. I could make it now. Just with like the... Yeah, curve normal, camera align would be check, or custom curve normal, I would check that. And then, yep, okay, that, it does make sense. It makes sense. All right. Yep, let's just implement it. I'm not sure if it'll affect the main file for that. Actually, you know what? Since this is in... It's in an okay state at the moment. So I'm going to go and start editing the actual setup. Because I want to implement a new node today. That is my goal. Which is a sphere effector. But I'm going to make it fancy. So let's save this at the moment. Open up the other file. Let me read the chat real quick once again. I hope you all are enjoying the stream so far. So these are all the nodes, all the main nodes for this. So I just need to change trail normal. Yeah. Curve normal or trail normal would be the input. I think, yeah. So what I would need to do is have just another switch node out of the many right here. And then I have another custom input, which would be custom normal. This would work well. Custom normal. Oop. Actually, yeah, the default is no. Custom normal. All right. Camera line should be on by default. Okay. So this is what it looks like to edit this kind of stuff. Even though, I can save time by... Okay, yeah, I know what to do. So, whenever a switch node happens, it doesn't calculate the current... It doesn't calculate anything that it doesn't have to. So if I do this, it'll just skip all of that, won't have to recalculate it, meaning that it will be the same speed, which is good. Nodes are a little bit annoying with it, but it's okay. It's okay. So the custom curve normal, I'll make it so that it will be entirely custom, which means that you'll most likely need to cross-product it with the velocity, but it'll be fine. So we can do that, and then we can have that. So here, let's make a new panel, and this will be trail normal. So we're going to put that into there. Hello. Insert into panel. And then we can have the camera line in there. Yep, that should all be good. Shift G to select everything, and that should be good. There we go. And this is only available in Blender 4.1, which again, you know, I'm a little annoyed that it took this long, which means I cannot make this node group for Blender 4.0. But then again, not too many people are waiting on 4.1 to get a lot of good features, because 4.0, a lot of those features got delayed. Okay, so let's do this. This is just custom normal. Alright, that's good enough. I do need to space this out. So there's that. Like, this part I do want to remove because it's like the non-camera aligned version. Or no, it's the using the ID. But the thing is, when the particle is being trailed, with the way I set up the particle system, it will always have a functional ID, which is... But it's good to have the options. That's what I need to learn. If the options are there, people will use them. Okay. Set radius is fine. There's that. I'm annoyed with how that geometry thing looks, but anyway. Okay, that's alright. Okay, now that that's implemented... Oh wait, I need to... Actually, do I make it so that... No, let's just hide the value. And then this will be second to last, I think. Yeah, and it... Oh, I need to make sure that this is closed by default. So that I don't need to... Oh, shoot, I'm gonna need to make it so that... Every single... it's fine. Trail mesh... Or it should be before the trail mesh parts. Just order of operations, I guess. And actually, speaking of that, resolution should be above there. Oh, okay. Like, the order is a little weird with this because it's like, okay, most likely people will just want to look at the trail mesh first to set the radius and such. But if you're looking at it first, it should be up at the top, right? Trail length, or... It's fine. It's fine. It's fine, it's fine, it's fine. Hi, Ben. Hello. How's it going? Let's see. The lightsaber effect is fire. Ah, I'm glad you like it. Okay, so with this now, let me go through all of these, and I need to collapse all of those. Let's just go and make sure that all the other systems are okay still. Seems good to me. That does not use a trail, so it's okay. For the crystals, those do use the trails, so it should be fine. This node is becoming big, and I'm not the biggest fan of big nodes. Like, we don't have nested subpanels. It's a limitation. Well, the devs didn't implement it. I'm not sure if it's a limitation or not, but apparently there's no plan for nested subpanels, even though it'll be necessary with the main goal of, hey, changing every single modifier to geonodes. But then again, that is so far away from being a thing. It's like, I'm gonna guess, like 5 years away from being a thing. That, we'll see when it comes around. Let's see, all that should be fine. For the smoke, for the spirits version, this one looks cool. I'm happy with this. Let's just collapse that, and collapse... Oh, with the curve effector. Oh, that looks so cool. Let's see, let's collapse all of that. Okay. So the next thing that I need to make is a sphere effector. But first, let me go and save this in its current good condition. Let me go and also select this so that people will see all the nodes first. Let's go and do that. This looks good. I'm happy with it. So with the curve effect, or with the sphere effector, it's like, oh, you can have an empty be the object or any object. You just need a... You need a location. But no, it should be an empty. Yeah, but I want to implement quite a few things, like tangent effectors, so that you can make the particles spin easily by just checking a box. Making it so that you can set, like, the kind of mid-level of the attracting force, so you can make it like, I don't know, like it's an actual sphere, like, it has a surface, if that makes any sense. But yeah, let's try to implement something like that. I guess, yeah, I'll use the spirits as the testing ground for this. So the goal is to have an empty. An empty just like this. Let's go over to the particle system once again. Let's bring this into here. Let's also go and organize this because this is uncharacteristically disorganized. It's like, oh, there's not really frames. That's so unlike me. There we go. Let's do that there. We can just put that there. Maybe do something like that. Even though it's better, in this case, to have these over there so that you can expand it without it clipping into the other nodes. With this, it's okay. Even though, I don't know. Like, I could have made the new particles a separate node and then just joined them into there. But, I don't know, it's better to have it all in one, isn't it? Okay. Okay, let's go and implement the empty effector. So there's a few things that I need to do. This needs to be set to relative. And to make it so that the particles go towards a certain point, I need to consider a few things. So normally you would just subtract the position and then boom, it would go over to that point. But since the particles have velocity, or wait, this will make it, yeah, so they're going there. But we can see that's not entirely accurate. I just need to double check on this. Yeah, it seems to be alright. But I need to take into account the actual velocity and such. So if we use an add node and we take the velocity into account, we should see, oh, interesting. That was, so the velocity is taken into account. Or no, wait, if we set the velocity to 0, then, yeah. But I'm still a little bit unsure as to why. Oh, that's just because of collisions. Okay, fair enough. I'm just creating an orb. But I want to make it so that we can have a kind of surface location for it to go to. So what we need to do is take this force, normalize it, and then we also take the length and then subtract it and then apply that scale. So it'll say, oh, instead of going to the point right there, which has like a surface that has a scale of 0. Sorry if I'm not explaining it well, I apologize for that. But instead of that, we want the surface to actually have a radius. So if we subtract there and then scale, something along those lines, then we should see, there we go. Now it has a surface. Now this is like sine distance field math, kind of, in a sense, but it does work. So this is very useful, as you can see. Like, it's reminding me of those smoke bombs in Valorant. Never played it, but the shaders are very, very nice. But now that we have this, it's like, okay, we want that to happen, but I still want it to compensate for the velocity. And actually, that looks pretty cool. We can see that the random value right there is affecting where they're showing up, which is cool. And I can move the empty. Oh, that's so cool. Interesting. So another thing that I should probably make is, I don't know. Oh, it's so cool. This project, I really, really like it. Actually, why are the particles moving? Which, by the way, I should probably just look at the trails. Yeah, why are they moving? Because they kind of shouldn't. At least, not like that. I don't believe Eevee Next can be released in 4.1 in its current state. It's so bad. The shader preview is still used in the old Eevee. Eevee Next is in an unfortunate state at the moment. It's been delayed by 2 years, and not delayed because there's more features being added, it just got delayed. Like, I really wonder if we'll get any of the, like, most of the features that were originally proposed. Like, there was talks about parallax displacement, there was talks about ray-marched volumes, which at the moment, it seems to be that they're just going for feature parity and maybe SSGI and nothing else. The devs are still wondering if it will be released in 4.1. I'd say it's a 10% chance. It's in an extremely unfortunate state at the moment. It's not good. It's noisier than regular Eevee, because they're using noise dithering for the lights, which it might be okay if they have a denoiser, but from what I've seen, they don't really. Except if you want to use the compositor denoiser, which the real-time compositor is also kind of delayed, but they're going to be working on that. That's why they froze GeoNode's development. Let's see, what am I doing wrong with the velocity compensation? Because that should not be happening. Let me think about this one. Oh, wait, I know what's going on. Okay. So I need to compensate for the velocity after the fact. I haven't really done this before, if you haven't noticed. And I'm still... Wait, what is going on here? Because I'm still confused as to why it's shifting around all weird like that. Because in my brain, it's like, oh, it should be completely stable. I'll figure this out. But if we want the tangent to affect this, I want the tangent to be oriented to the object. So I'm going to use a rotate vector node, and the vector will just be 1, and then we cross product that by, or no, wait, we cross product the current position, and I should normalize, yeah, no, the position needs to be normalized, like this, and I might have to compensate for the velocity with that as well, but we'll figure that out later. So we do that, and now we have the tangent for that. Let's go and scale that down. This will be a node group, so you make it once, and then you never have to look at it again. That's the goal with geonodes. There we go. So now we can see that it's rotating. It's not quite rotating in the way that I kind of want it to. No, it's trying, though. Am I doing something really wrong right now? Or, oh no, wait, I needed, yeah, that's what I'm doing wrong. There we go. There we go. That makes more sense. So now we can have it spinning, which is really, really good. Let's go and reduce that by a bit. So that part's good. Let's also go and show the mesh once again. That's so cool! That's the goal, to make the cool stuff. To not be limited by the technology of our time, but just to make the really freaking cool stuff. And I did not delete that. Okay. So the question still is, how do I make the velocity compensation accurate? Because it feels like it should have just been that, but as we can see, it goes and freaks out. Because with this, it's almost perfectly snapped to the surface. Like, the tangent is bringing it off where the surface should be. Which I could do another calculation to reset it once again, which maybe that's the way the velocity should work. Like, we snap it to the surface. We go and do all of our forces, and then we snap it again. I'm a little bit... This isn't gonna work. I screwed something up. Or, wait a minute. Wait a minute. It's not snapping immediately. Or maybe it is. It's a perfect circle, which is good. Set that to be 0.1. No, it's not a perfect circle. So it's still... Yeah, what did I screw up? And that does not set the radius. Okay. It's been a while since I've done math like this, so please bear with me. Let's see, we take the positions, and then we need to subtract that by the location once again, and then do that? Oh. It feels like we're getting warmer, but still not great. and then that doesn't affect anything. I'll figure it out, either on stream or off stream. We're at 40 minutes right now, so that's okay. Let's see. Sorry if I'm not reading the chat, I'm just a little focused at the moment. Okay. So let's go and start making the actual node group. So here, let's just implement the base functionality that I want, and then we can keep adding the other stuff later. So let's go and select all of this, node, make group. I'll need to mark this as an asset later. There we go, let's go and chop that out. So the surface radius will be set to 0 by default. So we need to say, hey, the object is this one. That's the object's location, should be right. And, yeah. Let me just label this as the tangent force. Let's see. Control J, tangent. Tangent, and this is radius. Control J, radius. There we go. We want that lightsaber to be implemented for the Star Wars community. You're doing an amazing job. I've been following you for a year almost. So glad that I stumbled upon your channel. Hey, I'm happy that what I've been making can be useful. I'll see if I have time to make the lightsaber an actual product, because it's, I'm still developing the particle system, as you can currently see. There are probably bugs that I need to work through, but then again, if I make the lightsaber, I just need to make it enough to be a lightsaber and nothing else. So, it would be like a preset, pretty much. Vector to location. That should be good. Just object. So this can be an empty or just any... Uh-oh. Oh, right. I need to empty. There we go. Sphere effector. I'll probably rename it to be like my other naming convention, which is like, oh, sphere velocity or something along those lines. Let's go and change this to be a velocity, because that's what it outputs. And again, with my node setups, velocities are just an offset, because I'm not using delta time, just for simplicity's sake. It's like, how far did this move? It's like, oh, it's just the velocity. It moved this far during this frame. Maybe in version 2 I'll implement delta time, but I really don't want to worry about it at the moment. Radius, it's like that. So now you can set the radius of the sphere. And then for the tangents, I should multiply it. But I also... So I need to be able to scale the vector to there, which as we can see here, we can make it a little more... less harsh, so that it'll have some more wiggle room. As we can see here, it's not that bad, but if I set it to 1, it'll be snapped. But I don't necessarily want that to be snapped. The tangent can be edited, which can be done like that, but that's something that I want to avoid. I want the snapping to happen pretty much immediately. Like, it'll be snapped after the tangent thing. Right? Yeah. So the tangent force will have to be accounted for with the velocity if you don't reset it. Because right now, the velocity is being reset by this, and I don't want that to have to be the case. Because it needs to be part of the whole part of the system. So, yeah, we'll see about that. Do you have any advice about selling products on Gumroad? Have a good social media following, from what I've done. I'm not the best at selling products. I need to get better at advertising, because the one time I did advertise, it went extremely well. But yeah, have a good social media presence or collaborate with people to promote your product. Do I follow my own advice? No, just because I am busy. But that's what's worked for me in the past. So yeah, how... In my head, it's like, yeah, the velocity thing should be just fine. Like, it should just be add that to there, and it should just work. But that's not really what... Wait, what? Hang on. Oh, wait. What? Oh, is that because I set it to 0.1? Yes, it is. It seems like the velocity makes it be like, oh, I want to go straight to the center. Instead of the... other thing. I'll need to think about it. My brain's not really in the math game at the moment. But yeah, the cool part is, again, you can rotate the tangent and it just works. It'll always be the z tangent, just because... Like, look at that. It's so good. So good. But I want to make it so that I can have the noise effector be the velocity input. So, like what I had with the other things, would be input, which will be a vector. So the velocity, instead of being the default velocity, you can switch it to have a custom velocity using a switch node. So with this, it would be custom velocity. So I need that and also you. So this will be custom velocity, and then this will just be velocity. I need to make it underneath there so that people know, hey, checking that will enable that. Eventually, it's kind of talked about, but we'll see if it ever gets implemented. How having a switch node will enable certain values to be shown. So if it's like, oh, we don't need these sockets to be shown at this time, it'll just switch to be not there in the node, which would be good. It's something that's in the modifier tab. Once again, if the devs want geometry nodes to be every single modifier in the future, it'll have to do that as well. There's so many things that need to be done in order for that to happen. View layer attributes being one of them. I know I keep bringing that up, but it's, yeah. We'll need a better active camera node for the UV warping and such, but... Or is it? Yeah, no. Yeah, that takes into account the FOV. Which one is it? UV project, I think. I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to look that up in the source code to be sure. Alright, so we have that. Here, let me look at the other nodes to see how I did that correctly. To surface, because it's basically going to be this node, but a variance. So let's take a look in here. So we add the velocity to there. Oh, and I forgot, I also mix between those. Okay, yep, that makes sense. So I add it to there, then oh. Okay. Interesting, okay. Alright, let's add in some panels just to... panel closed by default. This will just be velocity. Velocity. Then sphere. Radius. Yeah, that'll be okay. Velocity. So it's like, oh, you have to add it to there. But then that's the surface. So... It feels like it should be... Sorry, I need to think about this. My brain is not cooperating at the moment. I'll figure it out. Eventually. And then, I'll need a mix between the old velocity and the new one, and so on. I also need to set a radius effector to say, hey, only, scale it by, this far away. But that'll be easy to do. Let's see. Thanks for all the quality content. I am 3 months into learning Blender, and you've been a huge help. You've been a huge help and influence in my learning journey. I appreciate you. I'm glad I could help. You did kind of jump into the deep end here while watching my, me making my own particle system using geometry nodes, which a couple people have done, but we just barely have the technology to make it. Or at least to make a good one, shall we say, with trails, So, yeah, I'm glad I could help. Let's see, we're at 50 minutes. So I could just make it so that the velocity doesn't affect it. Like, this will be just an additive force. But that doesn't feel right. Like, I could just make it so that, oh, yeah, look at that. But the velocity should be taken into account. Because as we can see, with that doubling up, it doesn't look great. I want to have noise affect it and such without it freaking out. Because, it could be cool. Alright, I'll figure that out off stream. Just because my brain's not in the game at the moment. Surface, oh right. Surface, yeah, let's go and implement it like we had before. So this will be sphere, I guess. Sphere, and then the object. I don't know. I don't want to say surface because that implies that, oh, it's going to a surface of the object when it's just the location. So I'll label it sphere. So that people will be like, okay, yep, oh, that's the object that the sphere will be. There's the radius. There's the velocity, which I need to hide that velocity input just for ease of use. So you do that, and all that should be good. Let's go and do that once again. So I'll figure out how to do it. Alright, let me just read the chat before I end the stream. But yeah, I'll figure that out. It'll be cool, eventually, once I figure it out. How do you show the HDRI preview sphere in the viewport? I think that's on by default. But you just click on this thing and it should show... where is it? Or maybe it's here. HDRI preview, right here, in the viewport overlays. There you go. I'm still hoping... The thing I'm still hoping for the most is the way to use sound data in GeoNodes. I really don't want to learn animation nodes from scratch just for that. Yeah, like, it's weird that animation nodes has had access to sound for so many years, but over here in Blender, we're still like, hey, can we import any data into GeoNodes? And it's like, no. It's weird. Getting data into geometry nodes is the most difficult and annoying part. Meanwhile, in animation nodes, which was made by the same person, or at least in part by the same person, has a lot more usability in that, right? Like 5 years ago. We'll see. We'll see if that ever changes. But geometry nodes... Animation nodes has better presets. Geometry nodes has better generalization. It's like, oh, okay. We have, this is like the shader editor, which makes it more accessible to the users. That's good. But it's just missing the quality of life features that animation nodes had. And the last time I used animation nodes was like over 5 years ago. But yeah. Oh, velocity. Actually, wait, should surface be... No, velocity should be on top. Or, Yeah, no, that's fine. And then response will be another panel, so I'll implement that. Having a nice standard for all the... Nope, I did not mean to do that. panel. This will be response. Like what I did before to make the curve effector was just duplicate this node group and then change the internals, which I probably should have done in hindsight, which I might do off stream, but we will see once again. But yeah, that's that. Okay, thank you all for watching. I'll see you all next time. Next time I stream, you know, this will probably be implemented into the base geometry node group, into the Gumroad product, which again, the particle system is out for free on Gumroad at the moment. We'll see what new nodes I can add. Let me read the rest of the chat. Nope, I read everything. Okay. Thank you all for watching. I will see you all next time. Have a good one. I'm looking forward to more things I can make with this system because it finally feels like I have the technology too, which is good. Alright, see you all next time.